grandmother. We lived in Knoxville, Tennessee at that time. She lived over in Oakdale. Inside Neyland Stadium. Not too loud. Might be dogs.
That's why I come from Warhead.
They may have dogs.
Yeah.
Headed up towards Dan's Rock, and I'm not sure if they recorded it or not, but this is the way we used to go when I worked up here on the railroad to a microwave site. And snow would be up here during the wintertime almost always, and it could be very icy. And I don't know if you can tell it or not, but we're on the upgrade now going to the crest of Dan's Mountain. Okay, this is Dan's Rock, located in western Maryland, just south of Frostburg a little bit. Beautiful scenery. That's West Virginia over there. The Potomac River is in between us. Unfortunate that there's so much graffiti up here. The wind, of course, is cold. But this is beautiful in the fall time also. Leaving Dan's Rock now, and just want to give you a little bit of the scenery as we go down the edge of the mountain on the west side. And up in this area you just have ridges and ridges of mountains in western Maryland, a beautiful part of the country. Next we're going to be headed over toward where we used to live in West Virginia and just show you a little bit of the terrain, and also maybe we'll be able to see actually the houses that we lived in. When we first moved up to Maryland from Florida, we lived in a rental house, and then that was in Maryland, and then we built a house over in West Virginia in the middle of the woods, and I think you'll be able to see that. When we first moved from Florida up to Maryland, we rented a house, and the house that we rented was right here. At that time, we didn't have a swimming pool, but there was a basement there, and that's where the boys stayed, and the girls had their own separate bedrooms up top. But it was a nice house, kind of small for us, but it worked out very nice. While we built our home on the other side of that mountain, which we'll be going to next. Now where we were, overlooking the valley, we were up on this mountain. right up there, and that's Dan's Rock. The way that we'd have to go to our home from Maryland would be across this bridge here, then we're going over the Potomac River, and then we start curving up the mountain, and during the wintertime this would be very icy. It would be very dangerous. But over time it snowed so much here we sort of got used to it. And it's about a mile or so up this way, then we turn right onto another road, which I'll show you a little bit later. Now on Waxler Road, which leads up to where we would turn off and go down to where we lived. Very pretty drive from here on out. And the school buses would come up here and pick up our children. Our children would have to walk from the bottom where we live about a half a mile. And Margie would oftentimes bring them up in the car, but if it was snowy, they'd have to walk up. And they'd wait at the top for the school bus. Sometimes the school bus would have to pass them because it was an incline, and they'd have to turn around and come down and pick them up on the way down. Otherwise they would get stuck. But I'll show you up here is where we turned down to where we used to live. The beautiful scenery. If you can look out over the horizon there, it's just ranges of mountains. When we moved here, we were just about the only people that lived down on the road that I'll be taking you down. When we lived here, this was not paved. It was a gravel road. And it made it very difficult coming in and out sometimes. But as I said, we were the only ones at the very end of this road that built a home. And then over the past 15 years or so, of course, you can see that it's built up quite a bit. So you can imagine trying to come out of here with snow and ice on this road. It was difficult, to say the least. we lived, right here at the very end. And that was our house down there. I'm on my way now to visit some friends in Mount Savage. And that's right, the name of the town is Mount Savage. We just passed through it maybe 2 miles back. But this is up at the top of another ridge here in western Maryland. It's supposed to be snowing tonight, but it's very desolate up here, not too many houses. But a beautiful place to come visit. I don't know if you were able to see it a little bit before. There were a lot of deer grazing in the field below us. They're far away, but I guess there was about 10, 15. But that's not uncommon up here in this area. Lots of deer, wildlife. That's one thing that really makes this area of western Maryland very, very unique. Okay, just finished seeing our friends in Mount Savage. It's snowing. We're going over the mountain again. Thought I'd do a little filming. We have to go across a one-lane bridge here to get on over the mountain. Don't see a car, so we'll go through. And as we go over, you really have to watch out for deer. We saw a number of them on the way over, so once we get to the top, we'll see if we see any deer. I'm just going to film a little bit as we travel so you can see we're going uphill. If you enjoy the rugged life, then I would suggest West Virginia or Western Maryland. I don't know if it's supposed to accumulate very much tonight, probably an inch, maybe 2. But tomorrow we'll be traveling up to Lover's Leap, which is an overlook above Cumberland. I've never been up there, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll have some good video of the scenery and maybe overlook of Cumberland. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. Going to head out toward Cumberland and then go to Lover's Leap. And we'll see how that little hike goes. So when we get there, I'll give you another view of what things look like up on the mountains. Right now it's snowy. They're expecting a little bit more snow around, I think around 1 p.m. this afternoon. But this is where we're staying. An Airbnb in Frostburg. So, see you at Lover's Leap. This is heading east down into Cumberland. And it's quite a grade. You can see that truckers have a little bit of problem here. I think the speed limit's about 45. West Virginia. Potomac River separates West Virginia from Maryland in this area.
Then bear right onto East Industrial Boulevard.
Okay, I'm going to turn left here and head up the mountain. We're almost at the
In
location.
half a mile, turn left onto Wills Mountain Road.
I just don't know, Amanda.
It's closed. The gate's there, Dad.
Is the gate closed?
I think so. This is ice.
I don't know that we'll be going because this is closed. The gate is closed. Now, I don't know if you can walk on up or what. I'm not sure I could even turn around. Okay, you're going to have to think about this a bit. Well, I'm going to have a change of plans. As you can see, this is closed. It's snow, it's icy. I was able to back down. There's another site I'm going to try to go to, and I think it's called Bone Cave. Not real sure what it's all about, but I'm going to try to drive to that. It's about 8 miles away from here. So no go on this. We'll see what we can do next here in Cumberland. The Bone Cave is supposed to be out near Corriganville, and I believe this is actually the back road to Mount Savage from Cumberland. But it's a pretty drive where you're driving in between the mountains through a cut. So just give you a little bit of a view of what this is like. I'm having difficulty finding where to park to get up to the cave. I know it's along this scenic railroad, and it's somewhere in that direction, but it's probably about 3 miles, and I don't have a place to park here. So I'm going to see if there's another area that we can park and then maybe walk up to the cave. I'm just not real sure how to get to it. So this may be another washout until I can find something else. But anyway, let me do a little research and we'll see if we can find a way to get up here. Unfortunately, there's almost no way to get to that bone cave. It sounded very interesting because supposedly when they were building the railroad, the Western Maryland Railroad through this area, they came across a cave and they opened it up and they found a lot of prehistoric skeletons in there, and they came back and they excavated, and some of them found their way to a museum, almost complete skeletons of I think one was a saber-toothed tiger. But getting to it is almost impossible at this time. You almost have to walk 3 miles, and finding a place to park along the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad is very difficult. So that's a wash. So I think what we'll do is I'm just going to take you up through Old Mount Savage, more or less following the Scenic Railroad. I understand that's a beautiful tourist attraction during the summertime, and also in the fall. Of course, when the trees are here are beautiful, you can imagine what it's like in the mountains. So I'll film a little bit of that, and then the railroad actually runs from Cumberland up to Frostburg. So we'll go back into Frostburg the back way through the mountains. Do a little bit of filming along the way. Thought I'd stop and film this. It's on the way up to Mount Savage. It's just beautiful. This little creek runs down through the mountains down and eventually joins in with another small stream and eventually goes over into the Potomac River. And I remember when I was up here in the summertime, I see a lot of people fishing along the stream up and down this road. Beautiful. Thought I'd just stop and give you a little bit of idea of how cold it is and how beautiful it is. Coming into Mount Savage, I just thought I'd film a little bit of this small town. It was a mining town in the past, and now it's just a remnant of what it used to be. Back when we lived here, we came up this way one time. They had an open house of the old home that the owner, I think, of the mine had built up here. And we took a tour of it, and I believe it was for sale at that time. It was a very interesting home, but it's up on the mountain up here on the right, if I can remember where it was. I'll just give you a quick shot of that. I believe it was this house right here. It had interesting woodwork. It's really pretty inside. But you could tell he had some wealth. We're approaching the top where the railroad comes into Frostburg from Maryland. times past, there used to be a restaurant up here for people that were taking the scenic road. They would come up here, have lunch, and then take the scenic railroad back down to Cumberland. I'm in downtown Cumberland right now on Baltimore Street, walking down to eat at a seafood deli. You see in the distance the old church. Let's see if I can zoom in. Very pretty area. We're approaching where General George Washington had one of his headquarters here in Cumberland. And this was, I think, back during the French and Indian War. And from here, he would head out west towards Pittsburgh on the, what I know as the Braddock Road. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit better here, get a better picture of it. See, right over there is it's not the actual headquarters, but it's a mock-up. They recreated it. Now we're approaching, I think, the old Episcopal church on the left here. That actually has, I think they call them catacombs underneath, and I'm not real sure why they have that. But on this hill is also where they had what was called Fort Cumberland. And that was here during the French and Indian War also. Quite a bit of history here in Cumberland. We made it back to Florida from Western Maryland. You can tell here everything is greening up. Although I think we're supposed to have a cold snap tonight down into freezing and then maybe back up to the 50s or 60s. But it's good to be back. We made it safely. We got out of town just in time. I understand there's a big snow coming through the East Coast about where we were at. So made it back. I hope you enjoyed the video of Cumberland and a little bit of our memories while living there. The snow was beautiful, but it's good to be back in Florida. Until next time.